program season. Our SUSTA staff here in New Orleans, along with our members, the state departments of agriculture in our region, are as committed as ever to helping you to be successful in the international markets in 2024. We have a great lineup of marketing strategies in 2024 that includes education on targeted markets to helping you to elevate your presence at international trade shows around the world, with over a dozen trade shows lined up and an equal amount of trade missions through our global events. We are also ready to help you share the cost of your international marketing and promotional activities through our CostShare program that saw every penny of program funds earmarked to CostShare go out to exporters in 2022. So I want to warn you, get your CostShare applications in early to secure your funds. We are committed to you, and we're here to support you every step of the way. We are fully staffed in the program areas to increase the level of service to you. Our staff has an exciting presentation for you this morning, so I am going to pass it back to Alistair, but first, I want to say thank you. From the bottom of our heart, thank you for continuing to share your success with us and for allowing us the opportunity to work with you. Alistair?
Thank you very much, Bernadette. A little bit of housekeeping for those that are unfamiliar with our webinar format and how it works. All participants are muted. We will be having a Q&A at the end, so throughout the discussion today, if you want to enter your questions either in the chat box or the Q&A box, we'll get to those at the end. And then as you may have heard just a couple seconds ago, the webinar is being recorded. So afterwards, if you're curious to look over one of the topics that was discussed today, when you log into your MySUSTA account, you'll see a past webinar tab, and you'll be able to view that on your own time. So as Bernadette mentioned, we're really excited about our 2024 programs and some of the changes. It felt like 2023 was a year that was normal again, just in terms of trade shows, just in terms of exports, different networking and relationships that were built. So we're even more excited about 2024. Wanted to touch on a couple of our educational resources that SUSTA is offering this year. But first, as I'm sure you've noted, whenever you log into your MySUSTA account, for those that have not already, you'll see a prompt to confirm your account details for 2024. What that means is you can get started now for when the time comes. August 15th, our global events will be opening up. Our 2024 global events will be opening up for registration. When you're confirming your account details, it's just to make sure that for this upcoming program, your location, your address is still the same, contacts, emails, all the information that's tied to your MySUSTA account is still accurate, up to date. Just be sure that when you are going through that recertification, when it asks you which program areas you're interested in, select the program areas that you plan on utilizing in 2024, because each one of those teams reviews you separately. So if you plan on starting a CostShare application at some point in 2024, be sure to select CostShare. That does not mean that you're starting your CostShare application immediately. This means that you plan on utilizing the program during the upcoming calendar year. So as I mentioned, a couple of our export educational resources that we're really excited about. Let me change screens real quick. Can y'all, do I have to share? Can you see my screen right now or no? Yes, okay. So as you may have noticed with our global events part of our website, in the past, whenever you would navigate there, it would show all in one list our trade missions, our trade shows, as well as our webinars and our export readiness training. Since then, whenever you navigate to the page, there's these tabs right here. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but usually it'll start with the global events tab. When that's selected, it'll just be showing trade missions and trade shows. For all of our other export educational resources, you'll have to select that tab, and then it updates the list to show webinars, our export readiness training, and then our virtual consultations. Something that I know has been discussed a lot, at least with me and our companies during those individual consultations, has been our Connects 365 platform. For those that are unfamiliar, it's essentially a way for you and your products to be promoted, but specifically to international qualified buyers. Over the past several months, we've been recruiting companies, and as you can kind of see when I navigate to this part of our website, how many companies have currently built out their Connects page. Just to show you one of the companies, Magic Seasonings, what their page looks like. So there's a builder where you upload your product images, logos, you provide a description on distribution channels, your product types. There's a checklist of things, but then also there's certain requirements in terms of the image sizes. So if at any point you run into an obstacle, you're not sure why it's flagged or why it's not going through, feel free to contact myself or Danielle. This year, it is free to create your Connects 365 page, and we're beginning to invite those international buyers to access the page as well. So it's an exciting way to network, create those relationships without having to leave your desk or leave your house or office. Going back to our events page to kind of touch on some of the educational resources that I was talking about. So one of them being our upcoming export readiness training, which you'll see that is available right down here. The early bird period to register is September 7th. If you register during that time, $125. Then afterwards, it's $150. As many of you have already heard us talk about, or you may have already participated in export readiness training, it's a in-depth certificate, but also course that you complete through SUSTA. It's broken out into 3 modules or sections. For our fall export readiness training, it'll be offered on October 4th, 11th, and 18th. They're done live through Zoom sessions similar to this. Some of the topics that are discussed during export readiness training are going to be pricing your products for international markets, being able to identify new countries of interest for your products, packaging and labeling requirements, documentation, understanding the contracts and terms that you're agreeing to, or the understanding of what those look like with buyers outside the US. We find that companies we've received a lot of positive feedback for these export readiness training courses. So that's why we've been offering one in the spring and one in the fall. With another resource that we have that just to kind of touch on for 2024 that'll still be available is going to be our export helpline. The export helpline, I'll show you real quick. That's under resources, and then our export helpline right here. You'll just have to be logged into your MySUSTA account. Once you are logged in, it'll fill in that information about your name, your company, your position. But really the export helpline is designed for if you have specific questions related to the export process. So an example that I always like to give, let's say you were to meet a buyer from Mexico. That buyer was asking for a document, an export document that you're unfamiliar with. You can navigate to our export helpline, submit your question or your inquiry, and then our export expert, which is going to be Victoria Mejia, she would be in contact. Generally, it's a pretty quick turnaround from when you submit your question until you receive a response. The export helpline is available for free to companies with an approved MySUSTA account. So if you intend on utilizing the export helpline next year, you just need to confirm your account details, have export education selected as a program area of interest, and then your account would be reviewed accordingly. Another topic that I just wanted to go through real quick, let me go back to our events page, are going to be our virtual consultations. We are currently at a stage where we're finalizing times and dates that our consultants are available for those meetings. Those are available for free. It's a great way if you're at a part of your export process where you're identifying a new market or you're conducting market research. You can meet with an in-country rep that's familiar with what opportunities are available. Are there any obstacles? Is this a good fit for my product? And then with our webinars, we have several others that are coming up. One of them being our Colombia, the Gateway to South America. The registration deadline for that event is going to be August 21st. All of our webinars are free, and our River Global, which is our consultant for the region, they'll be on the webinar kind of going through as similar as what I was just talking about, any opportunities that are available to exporting your products to Colombia. The U.S. has had a free trade agreement with Colombia since 2012, which really provides a lot of different ease and opportunities to export your products to that part of the world. We also have our export fundamentals webinar, which if you navigate top here, this is more a very condensed version of our export readiness training. We're trying to squeeze what we can into an hour and a half's worth of a Zoom webinar. So as you can kind of see, some of the topics that are discussed, that will be discussed during this webinar will be, strategies for pricing your products, finding in-country partners, just a high-level look at export fundamentals. And as the registration deadline for this webinar will be August 30th. It'll be hosted by, I believe, our same consultant that offers the export readiness training, Golden Crest Global. So if you're interested, you can get registered for that on our site, on our page as well. Pull this up again. And then lastly, we have our Canada Labeling Explained webinar. With this webinar, some of the topics that will be discussed are going to be, labeling regulations, front of pack rules, nutritional and health claims. The registration deadline for this event is going to be September 12th, with the webinar being that next day on September 13th. And then lastly, I know that this is going to be a topic that's brought up several times throughout the discussion in this webinar today, but surveys. We continue to stress, and occasionally we have to hound some of y'all about surveys, but really the importance of them, there's a lot of different ways to look at it. Obviously, in terms of our reporting that we have to send to the Foreign Agricultural Service, to USDA, ties to the surveys that we receive for our global events and for our CostShare programs. Aside from that, we also like to take a look at our surveys to see, how can we adjust our strategy? What do we need to be improving or focusing on for the upcoming year? So it's a way for us to internally look at our programs, our events, to see how they can better serve and better support your strategies. So I know that Sandra and Deneen will be touching on those throughout the conversation today, but with any of the surveys, if you log into your MySUSTA account, let me show you right here. When you log into your MySUSTA account, I'm sure some of you have already noticed this as well, but you'll see the little tab showing you right here, you have outstanding surveys, either for an event or for a different program area. They take 5 minutes to complete, but they really mean a lot, and it's very beneficial and helps us out in many ways. If you ever have any questions about, some of our programs, or you're not sure who to speak to, please feel free to reach out to myself. I'm the outreach manager, so I'm the one that's at trade shows, but I'm also the one that whenever a company creates a MySUSTA account or they recertify for a new program, I'm that initial contact. So I'm more than happy to answer an email, pick up the phone, help y'all, and as Bernadette mentioned, really just serve the companies that are in our region to connect and continue growing. I'm sure many of you have my email. If not, when I follow up, I'll be sending an email for y'all to be able to contact me. That's everything that I wanted to cover. So I'm going to minimize the screen, and from there, I'm going to hand things off to Sandra Valdez, our Global Events Director. So I will mute myself, and I will just be navigating through this on behalf of Sandra.
Good morning, everyone. So we'll be quick, just want to go through a couple of changes and just some things that are coming up. Just make sure everyone is aware of the deadlines, registration dates, and how everything will move forward in 2024. Alistair, if you could go to the next slide. So these are a few new events that we are participating in 2024. There are events in each of the categories that we kind of participate in. If you have any questions about them or want any more information, please let me know and I can send out any kind of flyers or information that we have on it. We think it's going to be a really good mix of events that would, have a lot of success for everyone. There's been a lot of talk lately about pet food and pet fairs. So we have signed up for a pet event just to, kind of throw it in the mix. And then just several other activities, as you can see. If anyone would like a list of these, we can send them out to you.
And with some of these events, just sorry to butt in, Sandra, with some of these events, when you navigate to our events page, you may notice that they're currently not at the bottom for those 2024 events that you can preview. So the Canada Inbound Trade Mission to Natural Products East, or a couple of these inbound trade missions are currently not on our events page because in 2023, those haven't even, those trade shows haven't happened yet. So we're still finalizing those details for the upcoming program year. As soon as that's completed, then you'll start seeing those show up on our events page for 2024.
You can go to the next slide. So these are a few of the important events that we have starting out the year. As Alistair mentioned, registration for everything will open up in about exactly a week from today. So make sure that everything within your SUSTA account is good to go. Please just double check if there's anything pending or anything missing. Reach out to me as soon as you can and I can get it corrected. And we can go in and update any information that needs to be updated. The early bird deadline is coming up for several of these. So if you are interested, please make sure that you log in and register and pay as soon as possible. Registration this year will be a little different. It won't be different for registration, but booth selection will come, first serve. So as soon as you register for an event, we will have a timestamp on our end and we'll be able to show who was the first person to register. And that is how we will move forward with booth selections for all of our events.
I had a quick question for you, Sandra. With companies that are recertifying, is there any typical issue or information that you find when you're reviewing an account for global events? That
the main thing that I have seen is a lot of people don't have their website. So we need to be able to verify everyone's products to make sure that your account is a good fit and that you have all of the credentials and everything that we need to have your account as part of our program. But the main thing really has been just not being able to verify the products. So please make sure that whenever you are updating or creating your account, you include your website so that we can just easily click on it and I don't have to, bother you, reach out to send pictures or the website for everything to be approved right away. I try to get everything approved within the day that it is submitted, or at least by the next day at the latest. So please make sure that your account has all of the information that is required so we can just go and review it and get you approved. So outbound trade missions this year, next year, apologies, will start on January 1st. We will only be reimbursing lodging for all of the events. It has to go according to the per diem rate. We will be reimbursing it for one company representative. Of course, you can bring more representatives if you would like, but if there are other rooms required, that will be a cost for you to cover. We only reimburse for one representative. Please make sure you keep all of your receipts also and your itemized hotel bill so that we can have all of the information needed to make the reimbursement quickly. Yeah,
in the past, I know with 2023 outbound, it's been that we could decide if you want your airfare or lodging. Like Sandra said, it's going to change this upcoming year. But then other expenses that may not be covered. So if your hotel is being reimbursed, then through CostShare, you could utilize the program for your round trip airfare to and out. So I'm sure Deneen and the CostShare team will touch on that, but just to kind of demonstrate how those program areas can work together.
Like I said a little bit earlier, booth selection will come through as your first come, first serve. So as soon as your account registers, it will have a timestamp and we will see who is the first to register. We are happy to share the timestamp with you and show you which participant you are in selecting the booth. That is really just to kind of minimize any kind of errors or issues that could happen on our part with allowing people to select booths. We just want it to be as fair as possible. So it will be first come, first serve. Again, like Alistair said, the surveys are extremely important. We hate to bug y'all as much as we, can't have to. This is just very, very crucial to our program and how we get funding and how everything is kind of recorded, the success, and then where, it also shows where we need to improve on our end, helping everyone. So please, please, please make sure to get your surveys done. It is quick, takes about 5 minutes to get them done, and it's not, it's over before you know it, and it's very, very crucial for our program. Here is Angie and I's contact information. If you would like us to send you anything that was covered, any of the events, any updates that we have, please let me know and I will get it out to you today or as soon as I get a request from someone. Thank you all.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Sandra. As Sandra said, yeah, you can always reach out to the team, our global events team. Many of you, you've already been in contact with them, but they're always more than happy to help. We'll answer questions, trying to register for an event or so forth. Well, great. Thank you again, Sandra. I'm going to, so let me admit this, because now we are going to be leading into our global events program. Oh, let me get this. So I'll hand things off right now to Deneen as I'm getting things set up. So Deneen, if you want to take it away and explain anything.
Yes, thank you for the introduction, Alistair, and good morning, everyone. So the first thing that a company is required to do before getting to the application stage. Alistair?
Yeah, sorry, it logged me out.
Oh, okay.
I'm just
okay, all right.
Pulling it up again.
Okay.
I'll have to go back through it.
Sorry about
right
that.
There. Nope, give
okay.
me 1 minute.
So the very first thing that the company has to do before getting to the application stage is to do a recertification, and that's for returning participants or applicants. And if it's a new company, they have to, create their MySUSTA account. So for new companies and a returning company with a new contact, they are required to first have a consultation with Alistair. And during that consultation, Alistair will give an overview of the program. So once he has done the consultation, and if the company is ready to move forward with the application, then the company gets an invite from me, an email, to invite you to complete the application. That application is the next step to the process. So we sometimes have companies that they think that the requalification or their MySUSTA account is the application. However, it isn't. The next step would be the application. That's the second step. You want to make certain that you apply far in advance of your promotional activity plans, at least 2 to 3 months in advance. And the reason you want to apply in advance is because we assist many companies, and you heard Bernadette mention earlier that we allocated all of our funds in 2022 and utilized all of our funds. So you want to make certain that you apply in advance and be able to get their very first approval date, which is January 1st. Something that has changed for 2024 is that we are now going back to our minimum requirements. So if you do your budget for your marketing plans, the minimum that you can apply for is $2,500, which means you have to spend a total of $5,000 to request the $2,500. In previous years, we were just assisting companies with what they had in their application, and that was due to COVID. But now, since things have changed and we've gone back to being somewhat normal, we are going back to our minimum of $2,500. The other thing that has changed in 2024 is that when a company submits their expense claims, and this is after their application has been approved and they've been contracted, they have 60 days to submit those expense claims rather than 90 days like we did in the past. Alistair, are you there?
I am. Can you see my screen right now?
No, I do not.
Stop sharing. It should be able to. I don't know. Okay. Can you see it now?
All right, very good.
Okay.
Thank you, Alistair. All right, so what you're seeing here is the dashboard page. This is where you always go to complete your application or even do the survey. On this screen, anytime you see an orange dot, that means something needs to be done. So for surveys, that's very important. For CostShare, we do our end of the year surveys for the program year, and we open up the surveys on February 1st for those companies. So if you have not done a survey from last year and you're a returning company, please make certain you do your survey. The thing is, if a company does not do a survey with the CostShare staff, what we do, we hold off on approving, I approve the application, sorry. We hold off on processing the application until the survey is done, or if they've been approved, then for the program, let's say start in January 1st, you've been approved and we see that you haven't done a survey, we'll hold on to the expenses after you've done your promotional activities. All right, let's go on to 50% cost share, Alistair. So after you've gotten the invite from me, this is where you go to complete your application. As you can see, there's the contact profiles. Alistair, you mind clicking onto that, please? All right. This is a hiccup that we see, when I say we, I'm talking about the CostShare staff, that we see with many companies. And many of the companies, they just stop there, they get frustrated, but we always have a team here, the CostShare team, to assist the companies. So you always have to select your primary contact, your claims contact, and the authorized signer. As you can see in a row with Mr. Daniel Levi, the president, he has the primary claims and authorized signer. Now, the president of the company may be the authorized signer, and then you may have somebody who work on expense claims. So then you have to sign that person to work on expense claim. But one person can be the primary person, the claims contact, and the authorized signer. Next. So then after you do your contact profiles, of course, when you're working on the application, you'll see check marks. When you have check marks, that means that you've completed that section. So then you want to do your company profile. You want to put your name of your company, what type of business type, the year your company was founded, and the years of export experience. And then, of course, the contact information, that's pretty self-explanatory. And then the owner of the organization. Down below, if you're a farmer's co-op, you would select that you're a farmer's co-op. The other questions, those are optional. Then you also want to provide your primary NAICS code. We use the North American Industry Classification System code to determine the company's size standards based on the U.S. Small Business Administration. So that's very important. Then you list where your company's headquartered.
And with any of those fields that are required, if for any reason you didn't fill out year company was founded, it'll flag it. So if you ever try to continue moving forward for whatever reason, it's not allowing you to, that means that you haven't completed one of the required questions that's being asked.
And you'll get an error message that'll pop up on the screen. And thank you for that, Alistair, to let you know you can continue on. All right, so when you're doing your marketing plan, you want to make certain that your plans are your definite plans. We've seen too many times where companies will have several markets, they'll have 8 markets, then we click on it and we see that they have, figures that's in there that we don't think that they plan on doing, or they'll put under the description field, maybe. So you want to make certain it's based on definite plans. And the reason being is because there is a 6% administrative fee, and that fee is based on the SUSTA funding. If you look to the right of this screen under that column, the SUSTA funding, the 50% amount. So never do a marketing plan on if you're guessing, oh, I think this will be done. later. So you want to do it on your definite plans because you can always amend it later to add a new market and add more funds. All right, Alistair, click on to Germany for me, please. So this is the first page where you type in the field, Germany, and when you start typing the country, thank you, Alistair, there you go. And then you select if you have done promotional activities in this country, if you have a foreign third party, a distributor that you're working with in the market. If not, you select no, and then you answer these questions. All right, keep scrolling, Alistair. All right, so when you're doing your marketing plan and when you're doing your description, you do not have to provide an entire paragraph. We just need the simplest part like this. Anuga, this company plans on going to Anuga, and the company want to request their boot costs. So it just be simple and straight to the point. There's no need for an entire paragraph. Tina, is there anything you want to add?
Piggybacking off of what you just said, you also do not have to fill out every single category. So if you don't have any plans for freight or in-store demonstrations, you just leave that blank. You don't have to put a 0 and say NA. You can just leave it blank. You only want to list what you have definite plans to do, like Denise said. You don't have to fill out every block.
All right, and so this company, like I said, they plan on exhibiting at Anuga. As you can see here, the president will go there to exhibit in the booth, and he's going to request his airfare, his lodging, and meal and incidental expenses. And so you have to come up with a budget based on the cost for your airfare, based on the cost for your lodging, and M&IE, that's always based on the per diem rates. And anytime we have companies, especially when they're a new company or a new contact with a returning company, we always do a consultation because we like to help the companies through this process because we realize it can probably be overwhelming for a new company. But we have CostShare staff here who can help assist with the application.
Matter of fact, since you mentioned it, Deneen, for new contacts for companies and new companies, a CostShare consultation is required.
That's correct.
So, we like to get hold of the companies before they go out and book their travel because there are a lot of regulations with airfare and travel, and we want to make sure that you're fully aware of all of those and don't make any mistakes because travel is a big chunk of your budget.
And how this can work, thank you, Tina, and how this can work hand in hand with global events. So if the company has signed up and a participant paid a fee through global events to be in the SUSTA pavilion, then of course they can request their cost that they paid through global events here for their, their trade show, their booth costs. So that's how, global events and CostShare can work hand in hand. Now, keep in mind, there are so many trade shows out there. Companies sometimes think that they always have to go through global events to do a trade show. That's not always the case. If there are trade shows out there that meet the requirements of, having international buyers there at the trade show, most likely it will be an eligible show. We like to do our due diligence on our end to make certain that it is. So if there is a trade show and it's not on the SUSTA's global events list, of course, you can always come through CostShare for those trade shows. A lot of times we have companies think, oh no, I don't see it on the list, so can I do it? And the answer is yes.
And also to mention with the new outbound trade mission for 2024 that they'll cover one company representative's hotel. You can utilize the CostShare program for up to 2 company representatives. So you could get the hotel reimbursement for the other traveler, and you could also get the airfare for both travelers or assistance with the airfare and hotel for the travelers. So
as well as the meal and incidentals.
As well as the meals and incidentals.
Yes.
I have a question, Deneen. So a lot of obviously what we were talking, y'all have been talking about is tied to exhibiting at international trade shows. So booth fee, that cost, or your airfare, lodging, meals, incidentals. in the instance, let's say a company wanted to utilize CostShare for producing packaging and labels, what would be the information that you would look for or that you would need to be filled out in the description?
So in the description, they'll put labels to meet the country's requirements. And then they'll request what they want to get reimbursed. Put a colon behind that for me. There you go. And then they'll request if they want the translation cost, the design cost, and the plate and the printing cost. So it could be any of those. So in order for us to assist with packaging or labels to meet the country's labeling requirements, they have to, meet those requirements. So they can't just put in here that they want to do translation and design costs if they don't have any plans to meet the requirements to get their products in the market. Because sometimes we've seen where a company may have a distributor in that market. The distributor says, this is what I want you to do. But if the regulations that the distributor, is not following the regs based on the requirements, we can't assist for that. The same thing applies for point of sale materials or promotional giveaway items. So if a company is doing banners or sales sheets for their point of sale materials to be used at the trade show, we can assist with that as well. So go ahead and type under their point of sale materials, Alice, the banners and sales sheets to use for trade show. And they may, go ahead, Tina.
I know we have a company on the webinar right now listening, and I know she knows exactly what I'm about to say, but bear in mind, please, in the foreign market with your banners, your sales sheets, any of your point of sale materials, your promotional giveaway items, and in your booth, you must have an eligible U.S. origin statement.
That's correct. So you're promoting
and your brand name.
That's correct. So it is a 50% cost share reimbursement program for eligible promotional activities after we review the claims. However, it's also a brand awareness program. So you have to promote your brand, as Tina just mentioned, and you have to have an eligible U.S. origin statement imprinted on your materials. All right, Alistair, so go ahead and type colon again. After that, the other point of sale materials.
Oh, yep.
Colon, and then put design, translation, and printing. And then you also have to put an amount of how much you think the design costs will be, how much you think that this translation, and how much you think the printing costs.
I was going to say, for the purposes of today, we can just leave. I was going to erase it.
I just want to let companies know that, and you
have to put in $1,000 or however much it's going to be. Yeah.
Right.
And then it automatically calculate.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. And then you can always expand the fields to see what you've entered. Anytime you need to do edits, you can do that as well. Then you want to save your international marketing plan. All right, let's go to the US. The US is very simple. It's nothing like the international foreign marketing plan as you just saw. You just go and select the trade shows where you plan on exhibiting. Alistair, hit that drop down. This is the list of trade shows that the USDA Foreign Agriculture Services deemed as international buyers going to those shows. So those are the shows that have been approved by the USDA.
And you'll notice with our events, some of our inbound trade missions that we have tied to trade shows next year. Some of them are on this list. So for example, we're going to have an inbound trade mission that's tied to Expo East. Same with the Global Floral and Produce Show. And then as we've traditionally had, Summer Fancy Food and America's Food and Beverage, we'll be offering inbound trade missions to bring foreign buyers to the shows for you to have those one-on-one meetings.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Alistair. As far as the CostShare program is concerned, we don't assist for the inbound missions. However, we do assist for the outbound missions that take place in a foreign country. All right, go ahead and save that.
And we also do not assist with any travel for domestic.
That's correct. Shows. So it's mostly your booth expense, your point of sale materials, your promotional giveaway items, your freight for your product samples, point of sale materials to be shipped to and from the show. Everything like Tina said, except for travel expenses. All right, Tina, we're going on to the product info. I'll hand it over to you to talk about that.
Couple of things with product info. If you are a new company or if you have not submitted your packaging in the last 5 years, or if you have new products that you're adding to your application, please bear in mind that you will have to submit your coordinating packaging or labels for everything that you have listed on the application. Please list all of your products separately. If you have, say, barbecue sauce in multiple flavors, such as honey or spicy in multiple sizes, you want to list those all separately and submit the packaging or labels that go with each one. You also, when you recertify your account, if you're just going to be using the same products that you had from the year before, you just have to answer the question, yes, these are the same products. Don't change anything, because if you change anything, it will off-put your product list and you'll have to enter everything again separately. So the screenshot on the screen right now, when you get to that point right there, if it's all the same products, you can just say yes, and they'll pre-populate over for you. We'd hate to see you have to add all 45 of your products again, when it could just pre-populate over for you if you just say yes right there and don't make any changes.
Right. And when Tina said don't make any changes, even entering a comma, if you go to your product and say, oh no, I need to enter this, a comma, it'll mark it as unsubmitted. So we do not like to see that. We prefer for you to just leave as is from the previous approved application. All right, Tina, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, then you go ahead and expand, Alistair, then you can see the information. Again, you can edit at any time. All right, then you want to certify your information. That's important. If you don't certify it, you can't get to the next step. Continue to the payment process. And then so the company has the choice to pay with a credit card. If you pay with a credit card, there is a small credit card processing fee, or you can select Bill Me, and then you'll be invoiced. And then you can send a check or money order to SUSTA's office for the $250 application fee. Now, this is important. The $250 application fee has to be paid in order for us to move forward with reviewing the application. As well as your products. So many companies, they'll call us and say, hey, I don't know what's going on with my application. And the reason being is that we haven't received your fee, or we haven't received your products, or you have not signed a certification statement. So all three of those things need to be done. All right, Alistair. So then you hit submit application and make payment. And then when you do that, this is the checklist. This is the checklist that companies receive. Many companies, they hurry up and move forward. Then they're calling me or calling Tina or one of the CostShare staff and saying, hey, I don't know what's going on. So then we have to go back and look, and we realize that they hadn't signed their certification statement electronically. They hadn't paid their fee, or they hadn't sent their product packaging. So those are the biggest holdups that we see with applications for companies. Anything you want to add, Tina?
Just that we won't even notice it in the system as an online submission if you don't have your certification statement or your fee signed. So you want to or your fee paid, you want to make sure that you get those two done right away. That way you get in the rotation in the online submission. So if there is anything else that we need, we can give you a call and go over it. If we have questions about your marketing plan or you're missing products, we'll know that we have to reach out to you. So it's very important to go ahead and pay your fee and get your certification statement signed and submitted.
And if I'm looking at this page, thank you, Tina. If a company does not own a brand that they want to promote for their promotional activities, In the application part, the product where it asks, do you own the brand? You will select no. And so once you do that and get towards the end of your application, like right here, you go to application packet, and in that application packet, the downloadable application packet, you'll see that brand owner permission, and it'll be pre-populated with the brands that you had and products that you had listed in your application.
I have a quick question for either of y'all. So you talked about how that $250 application fee needs to be paid before an application is reviewed. At what point is the 6% administrative?
Very good question. So the 6% administrative fee is not required until after I have approved an application and I send that application approval email to the companies. So once they get that application approval email, they'll have an allocation summary sheet attached to that email, and that's a summary of their application showing the brands that they've been approved for, the markets they've been approved for, and the amount that they've been approved for. So then they have access, I give them access to log into their MySUSTA account, to read and sign the contract electronically, just like they would do for the certification statement. Once they sign the contract, then they'll pay the fee. Could you go to the dashboard page for me, Alistair, please?
Yep.
Thank you. All right. Under account, where you have invoices, that's where all the invoices can be found. Your $250 application fee will be found there. And then once you've been approved, you'll see the 6% administrative fee invoice. Keep in mind, those two payments are separate. Sometimes companies think, oh, Danita, I already paid the $250. Well, I have to pay another fee. There are two separate fees that are non-refundable, the $250 application fee and the non-refundable 6% admin fee based on your SUSTA funding, the 50% amount. So once you sign the contract, once you pay the fee, you're considered an active participant of the program. You go out there, you work on your promotional activities based on your approved application. Again, you have 60 days after the completion of your promotional activity to submit your expense claims. And we won't go into the details of that. Well, I guess I can. That's the invoice, proof of payment, and proof of activity. We always have to have proof that the activity has taken place. Tina, anything you want to add?
Just mention in expense claims, just like a company has a consultation on the front end with the applications, where we walk you through everything that you have to do on the application side. Once you're approved, paid your 6% admin fee, and are a participant with SUSTA, you will get a call from one of us to set up a consultation call for expense claims. So you'll always have someone to guide you through the entire process. We'll go over how to submit them, what documentation is needed, and make sure that you're well versed on how to also submit the expense claim. So there's always someone to guide you through the whole entire process.
All right, and right here, you see certification statement unsigned, and it's an orange dot. Remember, I say orange dot means something needs to be done. So that's where you would go in here. You have to verify your email to be able to sign it electronically. Sometimes companies, their verification email go into their junk or their spam, so always check that. So then once you get that email, you'll click into the link in that email, and it'll give you permission to verify your information. And then that signed certificate online that's engraved will turn red, and then you log in, click onto the signed certificate online, and that's where you sign your certification electronically. And the same applies for the company's contract.
And this is kind of what it would look like.
That's correct.
But then it helps you actually sign your name with the app or program that we use. So
that's correct.
The preview right now.
And State, could you go back to that page, Alistair? Because sometimes I have companies, they do both. They sign it electronically, and then they'll send us, sign this. You don't have to do both. You have to, just sign it electronically. We'll get something on our end to say it's been signed. So there's no need to do both. Signing it, wet ink signature, and then sending the electronic version.
Well, is there anything else that y'all wanted to cover? I know it was a lot of information to process, but at the same time, I'm sure for many companies on this call, they've run into these issues when they've been filling out their CostShare application.
That's correct. And
Information.
we always have staff here to help, so don't be afraid to call us or send us an email.
Well, if that's all for the CostShare team and their updates, then we will move into the Q&A part of the webinar today. We have about 10 minutes left. I see there's already several questions that have come through. I will start reading those off. And I guess whichever program area this pertains to, if you don't mind stepping in and speaking up. For booth reservation, is the timestamp per payment received or per the registration? That is going to be a global events team question. Either Sandra or Angelique, if y'all are still there. Maybe we'll circle back to that question. And the other two are global events as well. There was a question that I had in terms of CostShare. With any of those, I know we touched on it, but with any of those promotional activities, so your booth at an international trade show, et cetera, they need to have that eligible U.S. origin statement on them. The same applies to, you'll be submitting your packaging and labeling for CostShare, and we're checking to see that your packaging and labels have that eligible U.S. origin statement. Is that correct, Deneen?
That's correct if the country is not exempt. So for the USA, as an example, that's an exempt country. However, we always advise companies to get into the practice of having a U.S. origin statement just in case, like for the example you have for Germany, they have Germany and the USA. Of course, they need to have it on their packaging. So we look at the brand, we look at the type of product they promote, and that they have an eligible U.S. origin statement. However, if they don't have it on there, they can always sticker it to say made in the USA or product of USA or any of those eligible statements. We never like to see a company go just spend money unnecessary just to get in compliance with the application side for their products. So when they run out of the supplies, they can then, when they have to go reprint, then have it added. But we never like to have companies, because we've seen that before, or they'll contact us and say to me, hey, we're going to spend this money to get this made in the USA. No. Do not do that.
And sometimes they'll think it's an eligible cost share expense and it's not.
Right.
If they're doing that. So
Alex, sorry, my computer wouldn't let me unmute. What was
oh no, you're good. Thanks for hopping back on. So somebody asked for booth reservation. Is the timestamp per payment received or per the registration?
I believe it's for payment received. Once you submit once everything is submitted for your registration and you're eligible to select a booth, we will receive your information and it'll show when you paid.
Thank you. Then there's another outbound trade mission for global events question. So they're asking about outbound trade missions. How long do we have to submit the reimbursement information for lodging for one traveler?
We want it as soon as possible. I believe is it 6 months burn or 3 months?
Yeah, they usually send it in within 90 days after the trade mission is concluded. But actually, as long as the program is still open for the year, they can submit their expenses.
But please don't wait 9 months to submit.
And then another 2024 outbound trade mission question. Reimbursement for the lodging for one traveler. Does this apply automatically to all outbound trade missions?
Yes. Reimbursement, and it has to fall within the per diem that is allowed. And if anyone needs the link to that webpage that shows you the amounts, because they do change periodically, depending on the location also. So you can check and just make sure that it's within that per diem rate.
CostShare, another question for y'all. In a previous program here, we were approved for funding. However, when we attended and submitted our invoices, the program had run out of money and we were left with full expense. Is that a possibility with SUSTA's CostShare program this year or for 2024?
Well, We're hoping not to run out of money, but we don't know. So that's why we just advise companies to apply early to get their application in, get approved early. Brian, you want to add to that?
Yeah, I can say 2022 was a very successful cost share year. As I mentioned, we allocated every penny that we had earmarked for cost share to our exporters. And so naturally, those that got their applications in, got them approved, and we're ready to go come January 1, we're in better position than those folks that were coming in later in the year where funds were starting to deplete. So we allocated every penny we had, and we reimbursed all of the money that we had in the account for cost share. We've increased it slightly in 2024. Of course, we still have to wait to see what funding looks like. We're hoping we can service every single company that's interested in cost share. Our goal is to put the money back in your pockets, but it just depends on what type of strategies we get that companies are requesting funds for, and also how much money we actually have.
Going off of that note, Deneen, I had a question that I know comes up with me a lot, at least in conversations with companies. What's the time frame or timeline of what's the latest companies can submit their cost share application or have reasonable time to submit it?
Very good question. So we work with many companies, of course. We review and process on a first come, first served basis. Now, the biggest hiccup we see with companies that we can't review their applications are those companies, like I mentioned during our presentation. They don't sign a certification statement. They don't send the brand owner permission. They don't send the product labels. They don't pay the fee. So then we can't review the application. But with the full staff that we have now, I would say the turnaround would probably be from the time we review the application within 2 to 2.5 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. And that's based on how many markets that they have, because sometimes companies have 12 markets, so we got to review that. We got to review their products. Sometimes companies have 60 plus products, so we have to review that. So it all depends on the workload and depends on how quick the companies could get us the information that we need.
Can I make a correction? I'm sorry. Whenever you register, so the timestamp will go to the time that you register, but when it comes time to booth selection, let's say Alistair was first and registered but didn't pay, and I was second, registered and paid. If Alistair hasn't paid, the first spot would go to me. So the timestamp comes through for when you register, but when we are actually at booth selection, you have to have paid your participation to be the first to select the booth. If that makes sense, sorry.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
Yeah. And to also go back to your question, Alistair, sometimes when companies get it in real quickly and have everything, that the process can go much quicker than the 2 weeks that I mentioned. So it depends. It depends on the workload, and it depends on the information that the company can get to us in a timely manner.
I think to be comfortable, though, just between all the consultations and communication with the team, I generally like to say a month or a month and a half is ideal, but there's circumstances where a lot of times it's less than that. And as Deneen said, right, we can work with you, given that submitting all the corrective.
Right.
It's really a case-by-case basis, but earlier the better.
Right.
There's another question that came through. What if we go over our estimated total in our marketing plan? Do we have to make an amendment before filing another expense claim?
Very good question. So yes, if they go over the total budget and they, well, it depends. So let's say that the company, like we did Germany and the USA, let's say that they had funds still left in the USA, where you can move those funds from the USA and put them into Germany. However, if you spent all of your money, you utilize all of your funds, then yes, you'll have to do an amendment to add the additional funds. But again, that depends on, if funds are available, and we're hoping, the funds will be available. And so when they add the additional funds to the marketing plan, they add the additional funds, they pay that 6% admin fee, another 6% administrative fee on the additional funds, the SUSTA funding, the 50% amount. Because companies get confused with that as well. Say, oh, I already paid the 6% admin fee. Well, there's another 6% admin fee required if an amendment is done to add funds.
So on whatever the amount that was added on, that's what you're paying the 6% on.
That's correct, the 50% amount. Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay. Awesome. Oh, just saw another question. Can you repeat? We need to spend budget for a minimum of $2,500 in a country for it to be eligible for 50% cost share.
All right. So let's say that you got two different markets. Let's use what we use. Had Germany, and you have the USA. So the total amount, let's say, is for those both markets, the total amount is $5,000. So you have to spend $5,000 to request the 50% amount of $2,500. So you can have two marketing plans with, totaling up $5,000 with the amount being $2,500. I hope that answers the question.
If there was I guess to throw out a hypothetical situation, if let's say given it's Germany and the USA, the USA marketing budget is going to be $100 or $1,000, and then the Germany one is $4,000. Would that be eligible, given that altogether half of that 5,000 pot is going to be 2,500?
Yeah. So the total amount, long as the total comes up to 5,000, then the 50% amount is the 2,500.
So between all the different markets, when it kind of pulls them all together, what we're looking at is that you're going to be receiving at least $2,500.
That's right, the minimum.
Awesome. Are there any last questions? I know we're just a minute over the hour. Had a lot of great questions. We always encourage questions. That means that companies are paying attention to what we're saying. When there's no questions, it makes you wonder, did I say the wrong thing, or are they paying attention or not? So thank you to everyone that joined the webinar today, that asked your questions, but this past year that you participated in our programs and are looking forward to participate in SUSTA's programs in 2024. Like it's been mentioned, kind of the theme throughout this, we're very excited about 2024. We're trying to adjust our strategy to help and support you as you connect with international markets. So if you feel that there's an opportunity for us to partner and for us to continue with that assistance, please reach out to us, whether it's our CostShare director, Deneen, whether it's our global events director, Sandra, myself, Danielle, any other staff, we're here to help you. So thank you again. Like I said, this webinar is being recorded. Once I get that uploaded, I'll send an email following up with any other information relevant and let you know that it's ready to watch as well, your MySUSTA log. But if we don't hear from you, look forward to helping you develop your 2024 strategy, whether that's registering for events, whether that's starting your CostShare application, and then some of our educational resources as well. So thank you to the SUSTA team as well for taking the time and preparation to hop on here. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.